Hello, dear friends. First of all, let me say how much I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. As we step into our golden years, life often gifts us with something precious: clarity. The rush, the chaos, and the noise start to quiet down, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. But let me ask you this. How often do we stop to truly reflect on what makes us happy, what gives our days meaning, and what brings us peace? You see, reaching your 70s isn't just about adding more years. It's about living those years in a way that feels fulfilling and joyful. It's about letting go of the things that weigh us down, whether that's habits, worries, or even old ways of thinking, and making room for the things that lift us up. This is a time to prioritize yourself, to cherish the little moments, and to embrace the life you've worked so hard to build. In this video, we're going to explore 15 transformative shifts, habits, and mindsets that can help you live with greater peace, joy, and connection. These aren't about making drastic changes or following rigid rules. Instead, they're gentle invitations to live with intention and authenticity. Along the way, I'll share stories of people who have found freedom and happiness by embracing these ideas, and I hope they'll inspire you as much as they've inspired me. Now, I want to hear from you, too. As we go through these points, tell me which one resonates most with you. Share your thoughts in the comments. Whether it's something you've already embraced or something you're ready to try, I'd love to know your story. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when a new video drops. Your support truly makes a difference. If you found value in this video, a like and share would mean a lot in helping me reach more people with these important lessons. And I'd love to hear from you. If you're enjoying this topic, leave a 1 in the comments or a 0 if you'd like to see something different. Your feedback helps me improve and bring you the content you want. Are you ready to begin this journey with me? Let's dive in, starting with a habit that can transform the way you experience your time: the art of saying no. Stay with me, I promise. This one will change the way you look at your life. Point 1. The art of saying no, choosing joy over obligation. One of the greatest realizations we come to as we age is that our time and energy are incredibly valuable. When you're in your 70s, you've earned the right to spend your time on things that truly matter to you. Yet, many of us carry the habit of saying yes to everything. A habit formed out of obligation, politeness, or a desire to please others. Let me tell you this: saying no is not selfish. It's one of the most compassionate things you can do for yourself. Think about it. How often have you agreed to attend an event, run an errand, or commit to something that left you feeling drained rather than fulfilled? Maybe it was a family gathering that felt more like a chore than a joy, or perhaps it was a favor for a friend that left you stretched too thin. Saying no doesn't mean you're rejecting people. It means you're protecting your peace and choosing to focus on what brings you happiness. Let me share a story that might resonate with you. A friend of mine, let's call her Margaret, used to attend every single family event, no matter how tired she was. She loved her family deeply, but the noise, the chaos, and the energy it took often left her feeling utterly exhausted. One day, she decided to try something new. She politely declined a couple of gatherings, explaining that she needed some time for herself. To her surprise, her family understood. They missed her, of course, but they also respected her decision. And when Margaret did attend family events, she felt more present, more engaged, and truly happy to be there. This is the power of saying no. It allows you to say yes to yourself. It gives you the space to enjoy a quiet evening with a book, a peaceful walk in nature, or simply time to reflect and recharge. When you prioritize your well-being, you show up as the best version of yourself for the people you care about. So, I'd like to ask you, what's one thing you can say no to this week to create more space for joy in your life? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to honor yourself. And if this resonates with you, don't forget to share it with someone who might need to hear this message, too. Point 2. Letting go of perfectionism. Embracing peace and imperfection. Perfectionism is something many of us have carried through our lives, often without even realizing it. From keeping our homes spotless to striving for the perfect meal or the perfect look, we've been conditioned to believe that good enough is never truly enough. But as we grow older, something remarkable happens. We begin to see that perfection is not only unattainable but also unnecessary. What matters most isn't that everything is flawless. It's that everything feels real and meaningful. Think about it. How often have you stressed over small details that, in the grand scheme of things, didn't matter? Maybe it was worrying about whether the table settings were just right for a dinner party or feeling embarrassed over a wrinkle in your outfit. These tiny imperfections, the ones we spend so much energy trying to fix, are often invisible to others. And even if they're noticed, they rarely matter to the people who love and care for us. Let me tell you about a wonderful woman I know. We'll call her Linda. Linda spent decades hosting gatherings, always making sure every detail was perfect. From the centerpiece on the table to the garnish on the dessert, she poured hours into making everything look just right. But those hours often left her stressed and exhausted, unable to enjoy the company of her guests. One day, she decided to make a change. She simplified her approach, focusing less on the details and more on the experience. Instead of elaborate meals, she began serving simple, hearty dishes that she enjoyed cooking. And do you know what happened? Her guests still loved her gatherings, maybe even more so. They felt her warmth and presence, and Linda felt a newfound joy in simply being with them. This is the beauty of letting go of perfectionism. It frees us to live authentically, to embrace life as it is rather than as we think it should be. Your friends, your family, they don't care about perfect meals or spotless homes. They care about you, your laughter, your stories, your company. So, here's my question to you. What's one thing you can let go of trying to perfect this week? Maybe it's skipping the fancy dinner prep or letting the laundry wait another day. Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to embrace imperfection and find peace in the process. And remember, life is meant to be enjoyed, not perfected. Let's live it with grace and gratitude. Point 3. Releasing the need to stay busy, finding fulfillment in stillness. For much of our lives, we've been told that being busy is a badge of honor, a sign of productivity, purpose, and value. But as we step into our 70s, it's time to question that belief. Is constant busyness really necessary? Does it bring joy? Or does it leave us feeling drained and disconnected from the things that truly matter? The truth is, there's immense power in slowing down, in allowing ourselves to simply be rather than always do. Many people, after years of juggling work, family, and endless responsibilities, find it hard to stop. The idea of not being busy can feel uncomfortable, almost like something is missing. But here's the thing. Slowing down doesn't mean we've lost purpose. In fact, it's in those quieter moments that we often find the most profound meaning. I remember an elderly couple I once met who decided to make a significant change in their lives. They'd spent decades managing a large home filled with memories, but also filled with endless tasks. Yard work, maintenance, cleaning. As they entered their 70s, they realized they wanted more time to enjoy life. So they downsized to a smaller, more manageable condo. At first, it felt like a loss, leaving behind the house they'd lived in for so long. But soon, they discovered something beautiful. Without the constant demands of their old home, they found themselves with the time and energy to reconnect with each other, with hobbies they loved, and with the simple joys of life. They began taking long walks, exploring local parks, and savoring leisurely mornings with their coffee. They no longer felt the pressure to fill every moment with tasks. Instead, they allowed themselves to experience life's beauty in the present, free from the need to always be doing something. This shift is one that so many people find transformative. When we let go of the need to stay busy, we make room for what truly fulfills us. Meaningful conversations, quiet reflection, and the small pleasures of everyday life. It's about quality, not quantity, living deeply, not just filling time. So, let me ask you this. What's one way you can slow down this week? Maybe it's skipping a chore to enjoy a favorite book, or taking a slow walk just to feel the breeze on your face. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to embrace the beauty of stillness. Remember, life's richness isn't in how much we do. It's in how deeply we experience each moment. Let's savor it together. Point 4. The freedom of forgiveness, letting go of grudges. As we age, life often gives us time to reflect on our past, the joys, the lessons, and yes, even the hurts. Sometimes, those hurts linger in the form of grudges or resentment. Holding on to these feelings can weigh heavily on our hearts, even if we don't always realize it. But here's a truth I want to share with you. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and pain. It's about choosing peace over bitterness. Think about it. How many times have old disagreements or unresolved conflicts replayed in your mind? Maybe it was an argument with a family member, a betrayal by a friend, or a misunderstanding that led to years of silence. These memories can consume our thoughts and drain our energy, leaving little room for the happiness we deserve. Let me tell you about my neighbor, Paul. Paul had been estranged from his best friend for over 2 decades. The two had a falling out over a business disagreement, and though both had moved on in life, the wound remained. One day, as Paul reflected on his life, he realized that holding on to this grudge hadn't changed anything about the past. It had only weighed on his present. So, he decided to reach out. He wrote a letter to his old friend, apologizing for his part in the conflict and expressing his wish to reconnect. What happened next was incredible. His friend responded with the same openness and regret, and the two met for coffee to reconcile. Paul later told me that letting go of that grudge felt like a weight had been lifted. For the first time in years, he felt a deep sense of peace, and their renewed friendship brought him unexpected joy. Forgiveness isn't always easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. But when we take steps to release resentment, we make room for lightness in our hearts. It allows us to focus on the relationships and experiences that bring us joy, rather than being tethered to past pain. So, I'd like to ask you, is there someone in your life you've been holding a grudge against? What would it feel like to take the first step toward letting it go? Share your thoughts in the comments below, even if it's just to say, I'm ready to let go. Remember, forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about choosing peace, healing, and a lighter, freer heart. You deserve that, don't you? Point 5. Letting go of keeping up with younger generations. In today's fast-paced world, where technology and trends seem to change by the minute, it's easy to feel left behind. Watching younger generations navigate new gadgets, apps, and social platforms with ease can sometimes leave us feeling out of touch. But let me tell you something. You don't have to keep up with every new trend to stay connected or valued. True connection and happiness come from engaging in ways that feel authentic and meaningful to you. I know many of you might feel pressured to learn the latest apps just to keep in touch with your grandkids or stay in the loop with friends. Maybe you've tried downloading social media apps like Instagram or TikTok, only to find yourself frustrated or overwhelmed. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. A dear friend of mine, Helen, went through something similar. Her teenage grandkids were always posting pictures and videos on Instagram, and they encouraged her to join. At first, Helen gave it a try. She downloaded the app, but navigating it felt more confusing than enjoyable. After a few attempts, she began to feel that she just wasn't cut out for it. She worried that by not participating, she'd lose her connection with her grandkids. Instead of giving up, Helen decided to have an honest conversation with them. She explained that she loved hearing about their lives, but found Instagram too complicated. Her grandkids came up with a wonderful solution. They started texting her pictures directly, even sending short voice notes and videos. This small change made all the difference. Helen felt connected and included without the stress of learning a platform that didn't suit her. Here's the lesson. You don't need to keep up with younger generations to stay close to them. You simply need to find ways to connect that feel natural and joyful for you. Whether it's a phone call, a handwritten letter, or even learning just one simple app, it's the relationship that matters, not the technology. So, tell me, what's one way you've found to stay connected with your loved ones without feeling overwhelmed? Share your tips in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And remember, life isn't about keeping up with every trend. It's about finding joy in the moments that truly matter. You don't need to be on every platform to be a meaningful part of someone's life. You're already enough, just as you are. Point 6. Letting go of worrying about what others think. As we grow older, one of the most liberating realizations we can come to is this. Other people's opinions don't define us. For much of our lives, we've worried about how we're perceived, whether we're doing enough, saying the right things, or living up to expectations. But in your 70s, it's time to let go of that weight and embrace the freedom of living life on your own terms. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated to wear something you love because you thought it might not be appropriate for your age? Or avoided speaking your mind because you feared being judged? These worries can hold us back from expressing our true selves, and frankly, they often don't matter as much as we think they do. Point 9. Letting go of the need to control, trusting life's flow. For so much of our lives, we feel the need to control everything around us. Our relationships, our schedules, even the outcomes of situations we can't truly influence. But as we grow older, one of the most freeing lessons we can learn is this: not everything is ours to control. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting the flow of life and finding peace in the process. Think about it. How often have you worried about the decisions of your children or grandchildren, wanting to guide them or prevent them from making mistakes? Maybe you felt frustrated when things didn't go the way you'd planned, or when people didn't behave as you hoped. These feelings can weigh on us, creating unnecessary stress and tension. I remember a woman named Janet who struggled with this. She often found herself trying to guide her adult children's decisions, where they should live, how they should handle their finances, even what they should name her grandchildren. Janet's intentions came from a place of love, but her constant advice and interventions began to create distance between her and her family. She realized that her need to control was doing more harm than good. One day, Janet made a conscious decision to step back. Instead of offering unsolicited advice, she started to simply listen and support her children, trusting them to make their own choices. At first, it wasn't easy. She worried they might make mistakes or that her guidance wouldn't be heard. But as time passed, something beautiful happened. Her relationships with her children grew closer. They felt more respected and trusted, and Janet felt a weight lifted from her shoulders. She discovered a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. Letting go of control doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we acknowledge that some things are beyond our influence. It's about finding joy in the present moment and trusting that life has a way of working itself out. When we stop clinging to outcomes, we create space for deeper connections, more meaningful experiences, and a calmer, more centered heart. So, here's a question for you. What's one area of your life where you can let go of the need to control? Maybe it's trusting your family to handle their own decisions, or letting go of a situation that's out of your hands. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're embracing the freedom of letting go. Remember, life flows more beautifully when we allow it to unfold naturally. Let's embrace that together. Point 10. Letting go of negative self-talk about physical changes. Aging brings changes to our bodies. There's no denying that. Gray hairs, wrinkles, stiffness in the joints, or slower movements are all part of the journey. But how we view these changes makes all the difference. For many of us, the habit of criticizing our appearance or abilities can become deeply ingrained. Yet, letting go of negative self-talk isn't just an act of kindness. It's an act of liberation. Think about it. How often have you looked in the mirror and focused on what you didn't like? Maybe you felt frustrated because your body doesn't move as it once did. Or maybe you've shied away from social events because you didn't feel like you looked your best. These thoughts may seem small, but over time, they can drain your joy and confidence. I'd like to share the story of Sam, a retired teacher in his late 70s. For years, Sam avoided the beach, a place he used to love, because he felt self-conscious about his aging body. One day, he overheard his granddaughter talking about how much she missed spending time with him by the water. That simple conversation shifted something inside him. Sam realized he'd been depriving himself and his family of beautiful moments because of his own critical thoughts. The next weekend, Sam packed his beach chair and joined his family by the ocean. At first, he felt a bit uncomfortable, but as he watched his granddaughter play in the waves, his worries melted away. He wasn't thinking about how he looked. He was simply enjoying the laughter, the sunshine, and the company of his loved ones. That day reminded him of what truly matters: the connections we share, not how we appear. Your body tells the story of your life. Every wrinkle is a mark of the smiles you've shared. Every gray hair is a testament to the wisdom you've gained. Instead of focusing on what has changed, focus on what remains: your strength, your resilience, and your ability to bring joy to others. So, let me ask you, what's one way you can be kinder to yourself this week? Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying something you love about yourself, or doing something that makes you feel good in your body. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to celebrate yourself. Remember, you've lived a life full of richness and meaning, and your body is a beautiful part of that journey. Let's honor it together. Let me share a story about a man named Richard. Richard spent years wearing stiff, formal clothes to family events and gatherings because he believed it was what others expected of him. But deep down, he hated the discomfort of tight shoes and scratchy suits. One day, Richard decided he was done dressing to impress others. He swapped his formal wear for soft, comfortable sweaters and relaxed slacks. At first, he worried people might think he wasn't making enough of an effort. But do you know what happened? His family didn't care at all. In fact, they noticed how much more relaxed and happy he seemed, and they loved seeing him comfortable and confident. That change didn't just affect his wardrobe. It was a shift in mindset, a decision to prioritize his happiness over the fear of judgment. And once he started letting go of what others might think, Richard found himself more open to trying new things, saying yes to opportunities he'd previously avoided, and simply enjoying life without second-guessing himself. Here's a little secret. Most people aren't paying as much attention to us as we think they are. They're too busy living their own lives. And those who truly care about us value us for who we are, not for how we look or what we do. So, let me ask you, what's one way you can let go of worrying about what others think this week? Maybe it's wearing something bold and colorful, or saying no to an event that doesn't bring you joy. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to embrace this newfound freedom. Remember, you've earned the right to live authentically, unapologetically, and with a heart full of joy. Let's celebrate that together. Point 7. Letting go of excessive possessions, embracing simplicity. Over the years, we accumulate so much furniture, clothes, trinkets, and keepsakes that our homes often feel more like storage units than peaceful sanctuaries. While each item may hold a memory or a story, there comes a time when we realize that holding on to too many possessions can weigh us down, both physically and emotionally. Letting go of the excess isn't about discarding your past. It's about creating space for the present and the future. Imagine walking into a room that feels light, open, and calm. A space where everything you see brings you joy or serves a purpose. Doesn't that sound freeing? Many people in their 70s find that downsizing their possessions isn't just about tidying up. It's about simplifying life and reclaiming peace of mind. I remember a lovely woman named Martha who shared her story with me. Her home was filled with treasures from decades of living. Family heirlooms, gifts, souvenirs from trips, and things she thought she might need someday. But as she grew older, Martha started to feel overwhelmed by it all. She didn't have the energy to maintain or even enjoy most of these things. One day, she decided to take a different approach. She asked herself a simple question: does this item bring me joy or serve a meaningful purpose? With this mindset, she began going through her belongings. She gifted her wedding dress to a local charity, knowing it could bring happiness to someone else. She passed on family heirlooms to her children, who were thrilled to carry forward the traditions. And she donated items she no longer needed to people who could use them. With each box that left her house, Martha felt a little lighter, like a burden she hadn't even noticed was being lifted. Her home transformed into a space that truly reflected her life as it was now. Simple, peaceful, and filled with the things she loved most. And with fewer possessions, she found she had more time and energy to focus on what truly mattered. Spending time with loved ones, enjoying her hobbies, and savoring each day. So, let me ask you, what's one item you could let go of this week that no longer serves you? Maybe it's a box of old clothes you haven't worn in years, or that kitchen gadget you've never used. Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to know what small step you're taking toward creating a space that brings you peace. Remember, letting go isn't about loss. It's about making room for more joy, freedom, and lightness in your life. You deserve that, don't you? Point 8. Letting go of overplanning, embracing spontaneity. For much of our lives, we're taught that planning is the key to success. And while having a plan can be helpful, trying to control every detail can leave us feeling more stressed than satisfied. In your 70s, you've earned the right to let go of rigid schedules and embrace a more spontaneous, joyful approach to life. After all, Some of the most memorable moments happen when we leave room for the unexpected. Overplanning can often feel like a safety net, giving us a sense of control. But the truth is, life rarely follows a script. By clinging to tightly crafted plans, we sometimes miss out on the beauty of surprises. The unexpected phone call from a friend, the unplanned afternoon walk that lifts our spirits, or the spontaneous decision to try something new. Let me share a story about Betty, a dear friend of mine who always planned every holiday gathering down to the smallest detail. From the menu to the seating arrangements, she left nothing to chance. But year after year, she found herself too busy managing the details to truly enjoy the time with her family. One Christmas, Betty decided to try something different. Instead of preparing an elaborate meal, she invited her family to bring their favorite dishes for a potluck. She didn't plan a schedule or set specific activities. And you know what? That evening turned out to be one of the most relaxed and joyous gatherings she'd ever hosted. Without the stress of perfection, she was able to laugh, share stories, and simply enjoy the company of her loved ones. This is what happens when we let go of overplanning. We open ourselves to the magic of the present moment. Life becomes less about what we accomplish and more about how we feel. A simple meal shared with friends, an unplanned visit to a local market, or an afternoon spent gardening without a set agenda. These are the moments that truly nourish our souls. So, let me ask you this. What's one thing in your life that you can stop overplanning? Maybe it's a weekend outing, a family dinner, or even your daily routine. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know how you're making space for spontaneity. Remember, life isn't about controlling every detail. It's about embracing the unexpected joys that come your way. Let's make room for those surprises together. Point 11. Letting go of the desire to always be right. As we move through life, especially into our golden years, one of the most liberating realizations is this. The need to always be right isn't as important as the need to live in peace and harmony. For many of us, the urge to prove a point or insist on our way has been a lifelong habit. But holding on to that need can create unnecessary tension in our relationships and rob us of the joy we truly deserve. Think about the conversations you've had with family or friends where disagreements have flared up. Maybe it was a discussion about politics, how to solve a problem, or even something as simple as the right way to cook a dish. These arguments often end with frustration rather than connection, leaving everyone feeling distant and drained. Let me share a story about Carol, a dear friend of mine. Carol loved her siblings dearly, but often found herself in heated debates with them. Whether it was over holiday plans or differing opinions, she felt compelled to prove her perspective was the correct one. But as time went on, Carol noticed something. The more she insisted on being right, the more strained her relationships became. She realized that winning an argument wasn't worth the emotional toll it took on her and her family. One day, Carol decided to try a different approach. Instead of jumping in to correct or debate, she made an effort to truly listen. She let her siblings share their thoughts and even allowed herself to acknowledge their perspectives without needing to counter them. To her surprise, this shift brought a new sense of closeness and warmth to their conversations. By letting go of the need to be right, Carol discovered a deeper connection with the people she loved. Here's the truth. Letting go of the desire to always be right doesn't mean you're admitting you're wrong. It means you're choosing love, respect, and understanding over conflict. It means prioritizing relationships over pride. So, let me ask you, what's one situation in your life where you can let go of the need to be right? Maybe it's letting a family member share their opinion without correcting them or simply choosing to focus on what connects you rather than what divides you. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're embracing this idea. Remember, the true victory in life is not in being right but in creating a life filled with peace, love, and meaningful relationships. Let's make that our goal together. Point 12. Letting go of comparing yourself to others. Comparison is something many of us fall into without even realizing it. We look around at friends, neighbors, or even family members and start measuring our lives against theirs. But here's the thing. Comparison often steals the joy of appreciating our own unique journey. At this stage in life, it's time to let go of the habit of comparing yourself to others and embrace the beauty of the life you've created. We've all been there. Maybe you've wondered why a friend seems more active or why their health appears better. Maybe you've noticed someone taking a dream vacation or buying something you've never owned. It's natural to notice these things, but dwelling on them can lead to feelings of inadequacy or even regret. And here's the truth. Every life is different, filled with its own triumphs and challenges, joys and struggles. What you see on the surface of someone else's life is only a fraction of their story. I want to share the story of George, a retired engineer who found himself feeling down whenever he met up with his old college friends. Many of them were traveling the world, while George was living a quieter, simpler life. He started to feel like he hadn't achieved as much. But one day, George's granddaughter visited him and said something that changed his perspective. "Grandpa, I love how you're always here for us. You make our home feel so warm and safe." That moment made George realize that his life was rich in ways he hadn't been valuing. His deep connection with his family, his ability to create a welcoming home, and his quiet moments of peace were treasures that no one else could replicate. From that day forward, George stopped comparing his life to others and began appreciating the beauty of his own journey. Your life is uniquely yours. The joys you've experienced, the lessons you've learned, and the love you've shared are all part of what makes your story so special. When you focus on gratitude for what you do have instead of what you think you're missing, life becomes so much richer. So, here's my question for you. What's one thing in your life that you're grateful for today? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear about the unique blessings in your life. Remember, there's no need to compare yourself to anyone else. Your story is beautiful just as it is, and it's worth celebrating every single day. Point 13. Letting go of rushing through daily activities. In a world that often celebrates speed and efficiency, it's easy to fall into the habit of rushing through our days. We rush through meals, chores, and even conversations, thinking about what's next instead of savoring what's happening now. But when we reach our 70s, life offers us a chance to slow down and truly enjoy the beauty in the small, everyday moments. Rushing might have served a purpose in earlier stages of life, meeting deadlines, raising children, managing households, but now, it's time to let go of that urgency. The truth is, the moments we rush through are often the ones that matter most. A quiet breakfast, a walk in the park, or a phone call with a loved one. These are the simple joys that make life rich. I'll never forget the story of Evelyn, a friend who once told me how her mornings used to feel like a race. She would rush through her coffee, skimming the news while mentally listing out her day's tasks. One morning, she decided to do something different. She poured her coffee, sat by her window, and simply watched the sunrise. It was such a simple act, yet it changed everything for her. She said, "For the first time in years, I felt truly present. I wasn't thinking about what came next. I was just there, enjoying the moment." From that day on, Evelyn started weaving small pauses into her routine. She lingered over meals, took her time tending to her garden, and even slowed her pace when running errands. She found that life felt fuller, more meaningful, when she allowed herself to fully experience each moment rather than rushing past it. Slowing down doesn't mean doing less. It means being more present. It's about tasting your food instead of just eating it, listening deeply to a friend instead of thinking about your response, and feeling the sunshine on your skin instead of hurrying inside. So, let me ask you, what's one activity in your daily life that you could slow down and savor this week? Maybe it's enjoying your morning tea, taking a slower walk, or spending an extra moment hugging a loved one. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to embrace the art of slowing down. Remember, life's magic often lies in the little things. Let's savor them together. Point 14. Letting go of the pressure to accumulate material wealth. For much of our lives, we're taught to measure success by what we own. Our homes, our cars, our bank accounts. But as we grow older, it becomes clearer that true wealth isn't about material possessions. It's about the experiences, relationships, and memories that enrich our lives. Letting go of the pressure to accumulate more allows us to focus on what truly matters. Think about it. How much joy do material things bring compared to the laughter of a loved one or the peace of a quiet evening? The pursuit of more can be exhausting, often distracting us from the blessings we already have. When we stop chasing material wealth, we make room for deeper fulfillment. Let me share the story of Frank, a retired businessman who had spent much of his life focused on building his financial success. Even after retirement, Frank felt compelled to keep growing his wealth, constantly checking investments and looking for ways to earn more. But one day, his granddaughter asked him a simple question. "Grandpa, why don't you spend more time with us?" That question stayed with Frank, and he began to reflect on what he truly wanted his legacy to be. Slowly, Frank shifted his focus. He started using his resources to create meaningful experiences for his family, planning small trips, hosting dinners, and even teaching his granddaughter how to fish at a local lake. He realized that these moments brought him far more joy than watching his savings grow. In letting go of the pressure to accumulate, Frank found a new kind of wealth, the richness of connection and shared happiness. You don't need more things to live a fulfilling life. The greatest treasures often come in the form of love, laughter, and the simple pleasures of everyday living. A walk in the park, a conversation with a friend, or a quiet moment of gratitude. These are the things that truly make life beautiful. So, let me ask you, what's one way you can focus less on material things and more on meaningful moments this week? Maybe it's spending time with a loved one, enjoying a hobby you love, or simply reflecting on the blessings you already have. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're redefining what wealth means to you. Remember, the most valuable things in life can't be bought. They're felt in the heart and shared with the people we love. Let's cherish those treasures together. Point 15. Letting go of overthinking the future. It's natural to think about the future. It's how we prepare, plan, and hope for what's ahead. But sometimes, thinking about the future turns into overthinking. We imagine every possible scenario, worry about things that might never happen, and let the what-ifs steal our peace of mind. In our 70s, it's time to release that mental burden and focus on the present, where life is truly happening. Overthinking often starts with good intentions. You want to make sure everything is in order, whether it's your health, finances, or family. But as you replay the same worries over and over, they can grow into an overwhelming cloud of anxiety. The truth is, we can't control everything, and trying to predict the future often leads us to miss the beauty of today. Let me tell you about a woman named Grace, who used to lie awake at night worrying about what the future held for her family. Would her children be okay? What if her health took a turn for the worse? These thoughts consumed her, leaving her feeling restless and disconnected from her daily life. One day, a close friend suggested she start writing down her worries in a journal before bed. Grace took the advice and, over time, noticed a shift. Seeing her worries on paper made them feel less overwhelming, and it helped her recognize the things she could control versus the things she couldn't. With practice, Grace began focusing more on the present. Instead of worrying about what might happen tomorrow, she started finding gratitude for the moments she was living right now, like enjoying her morning coffee or spending time with her grandchildren. This shift didn't make her future worries disappear, but it gave her a sense of peace and clarity that she hadn't felt in years. When we stop overthinking the future, we open ourselves to the joy of the present. The future will come, whether we worry about it or not. What we can do is cherish today, find gratitude in what we have, and trust that we have the strength to face whatever comes. So, here's my question for you. What's one thing you can do today to let go of overthinking and focus on the present? Maybe it's taking a walk, practicing gratitude, or simply spending time with someone you love. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're choosing to live more fully in the moment. Remember, today is a gift, and it's meant to be savored. Let's embrace it together. Conclusion: embracing the freedom of letting go. As we've journeyed through these 15 habits and mindsets, I hope you found inspiration to create more peace, joy, and connection in your life. Letting go isn't always easy, but it's one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves. It's not about giving up. It's about making space for the things that truly matter: love, laughter, and the beauty of simply being. Each of these points is a gentle invitation to prioritize yourself, to focus on what fills your heart, and to release the things that no longer serve you. Whether it's learning to say no, forgiving old grudges, or slowing down to savor life's little moments, these shifts aren't about changing who you are. They're about celebrating the incredible person you've become. Now, I'd like to leave you with a question. Out of everything we've talked about today, What resonates most with you? Is there one habit or mindset you're ready to embrace? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if there's something you've already let go of that's brought you peace, tell us about it. Your story might inspire someone else to take that first step. Remember, this stage of life is not about perfection or keeping up with others. It's about living authentically, embracing simplicity, and finding joy in the present moment. You've earned the right to live on your own terms, to cherish your time, and to focus on the people and experiences that bring you happiness. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found these ideas helpful, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to stay connected with more inspiring content. Let's continue this journey together, one step at a time, toward a life filled with love, peace, and joy. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.